So what happened next in the story is that can't I can't accept, my reality that we're poor. So my sister and I were still models. We're AKA beautiful girls. So we have to keep up with the trend. We're not broke. We can't be broke or broke looking. We need to have the most trendy dresses and shoes. So we took a rickshaw, which is like modern day taxi. It's like, you're sitting in the back and there's like a person pulling you in the front, right? So as we're riding downtown, May is asking all these questions because there's like a huge influx of refugees, and there's like planes, military planes flying in the sky, and bombs. It's like a sort of like a normal thing. And so she's asking questions here and there, and I'm just like, how do you not know these things? But anyway, we reached downtown, and she saw her friend Tommy, and I'm just like, hey Tommy. I let them talk and chat for a bit, and I crossed the street, to do my own thing. And just soon after I crossed the street, planes and bombs were dropping from the sky like dead birds. Okay, boom, pow. And then there were like buildings, glasses, walls, flesh falling from the sky. And I was in total shock. There were people screaming, crying, and dead bodies everywhere. Immediately, I turned around to look for my sister May once I came to my senses. But instead of like seeing May, I saw Tommy first, his dead body on the ground, headless. And I can only like pray that May is okay. And I looked through like the pile of all like the dead people, and I finally found her. She was on the floor, unconscious, with a whole bunch of blood. Her clothes were completely drenched with blood. It wasn't hers though. It was from like the people. It was like from the people around her. Um, and I shook her out. I was like, wake up, like don't die. And she finally came to her senses, and she was like, what happened? Help me up. And I took her to Tommy's body, and she was just like, we stayed there with his body until someone came along and took his body away without a other dead corpse. But while she was looking after him, I was looking after her, making sure that she doesn't have any other injuries. I found out she had like a cut in the back of her head, but it wasn't like bad enough where she would need stitches. So that night we waited for someone to take Tommy's body away, and then we walked home. You know, my senses finally kicking in. Like, we walked home, and the power was out. The power was out. The candles were lit, and I helped May through the door. And, of course, the first thing my parents would do is run to May and check up on her. No one checked up on me. Sad. To be honest, like that's just so, how do I say, that is just so wrong on so many levels. Like, if you have kids and you have obvious like favoritism treatment like this, you only made the siblings hate each other more, even if they don't say it. Like, the comparison and the mistreatment. Like, I would hate my sisters. I would hate my sister, even though she did nothing wrong, just because of how my parents treat me. Um, but no, the other boarders, they came in, they checked up on me, and didn't even have a second to breathe. And then we heard a knock on our door, like it it wasn't like a polite knock. It was like, ow, like, I'm not even exaggerating. It was like that crazy and obnoxious knock. So May went up and opened the door. Like we were scared. We don't know who's behind the door, you know. But May opened it, peeked it, and then a bunch of people came in. It was three gang members looking for Dad, and Dad was just like Papa. The correct term, I guess, is Papa, according to her. Papa was just standing there, speechless, scared, stuttering. He barely say anything, and he wet his pants. And in that moment, my impression of him changed, because he's always so loud and always so calling me stupid. So, on the contrary, he should be really smart and brave and strong, everything that, I'm not as a woman, right? But he couldn't say anything. And the three gang member told us how bad the situation is. What had happened was that Dad had lost all the money, and so he sold us to the gang, who sold us to old man Louis. So there's actually gang activity involved in our whole marriage. Okay. That day, I went to visit ZG, like I'm still thinking about him after, during this whole war chaos, the gang coming to our house. I'm still thinking of him. So I went there, and his landlady said that he had left. He didn't pay the rent, and he had left to join the Communist Party. And I'm just like, oh, I just wanted to see his face. Anyway, I went home. Mom and May had returned from Tommy's funeral, but the person that didn't return that day was Dad. I have no idea where he went, and even if he was like dead or alive, because bombing has become so normal now. It's happening like, it happened like the night before or last night. The house mom told us a story about the Moon sisters, and it reminds me how much Father loves May, and I was unloved no matter how much I cry. I don't know. I don't remember the folklore that she's mentioning, but she's really, really hurt from that story, and she was like, "I hate my dad, and I feel guilty that I hate my dad when I should be worrying about him." So mom really stepped up as our head of household. She came home with a bunch of ideas, since we can't exchange our tickets from America to Shanghai. But every single direction that we decide to go on, just like danger. So we really just have to pick one, cross a finger, and hope that we won't run into any any ops. So, but we also have to keep in mind that mom's feet are binded, so she can't run, she can't even walk far, okay? And her feet need constant cleaning and care. So we found a guy on the street, and we convinced him, in this hard time to we convinced him in this hard time to help transport mom. Anyway, so we decided to go to the Grand Canal, and we witnessed many corpses on the way there. We found scraps here and there, hoping we won't bump into the Japanese, aka the monkey people. It happened anyway. Okay, so the wheelbarrow pusher, and he was the first to be killed. But his death gave us some time to hide. Um, Mom hid us in like this little stall, and she covered up with like a board, like other woods and board, and she went outside. Mom spoke to me in the Yup dialect so May wouldn't understand. She was like, "Stay. Do not leave this room no matter what." And we hear like a bunch of ruckus outside from the Japanese soldier, but not a squeak from Mom. At that time, I'm just wondering in my head if she's like alive. Uh, Scared as I am, I got out of our hiding spot and I went outside to see Mom being harassed and slapped around by these Japanese people and being gripped. It was a bunch of them. It wasn't like one Japanese guy. It was the Japanese military. The Japanese couldn't understand us, and they stepped on Mom's foot to try to get it into normal shape. Like, that is so evil on so many levels, because her feet normally hurts already, and now they're stepping on it to try to get it to normal shape. It could never be normal shaped. She was binded. Her feet were binded from like a very young age, and that's just evil beyond evil. Like, what kind of human being would do that and seek pleasure in someone's physical pain like that? I have no idea. Both of us were violated, and it hurt so much that at one point I just pretended that I'm dead, okay, hoping that they would stop this torture. And after it was over and they left, Mother held me in her arm for like the first time since I was a kid. And she made me promise to take care of May. And she said everything in the Yup dialect, because we're trying to protect May no matter what. She's the young sister, born in the year of the sheep, completely, defenseless, and always need protection. Like, I don't know why the whole family feel like she needs to be protected. And that was my last memory of Mom. I woke up in a hospital, and I had Mother's bracelet on, and I knew at that point that Mom was dead. And I found out after that May had pushed me on a wheelbarrow across the Grand Canal. She had horrible blisters from it, and I had required surgery, you know, downtown. I required surgery downtown. And the doctor told me that I may never bear children. And we spent 6 weeks in the hospital. I was unrecognizable in the mirror when I was healing. After I was, able to stand on my own 2 feet, I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like so skinny. I lost so much weight. My hair fell out. My skin was like, even worse than before. But, May really held it down. Like that's the thing that her's not understanding. Like, while she was unconscious, May took care of everything. So I don't know why they think that May is like this brainless individual. Like, she literally stepped up and she took care of her. Like, she pushed her across the Grand Canal and arranged everything. Okay. And then even after the surgery, May organized the boat trip to Hong Kong. May not only planned the whole trip, but she took care of the finances. Okay, she had sold any last jewelry they have, and she, tuck it here and there, so that it would stay out of sight. When the pirates had invaded their ship, and I'm just glad that the pirates aren't Japanese and aren't gonna like torture me again, because I don't think I can take it a second time. Her can no longer ignore the poor lifestyle. She got tickets to San Francisco and no other plans. She had a fever, so she slept most of the time to San Francisco. But May was out and about with some guy on a boat, on a ship, so, and or to get fresh air. I worry about her being intimate with this guy, but I'm not gonna say anything. Like, I can't even take care of myself. You know, what am I? So how can I take care of her? How can, like, if I were to know about her situation, what am I gonna do exactly? So next chapter. Where are we going? May ask. Immigration station. Per respond. Per seemed to think that May is an airhead. Nothing new here. She thinks her, because you know. But I think May just got something else on her mind. Oh, this is my personal note. May is not an airhead. She's probably just thinking of something else, so she's missing signs here and there. And so they are being screened for diseases. Okay, so they've reached San Francisco and they're being screened, and the Americans are taking stool samples, and they're acting as if these, Chinese people that's entering are stupid, but they're not stupid. It's just a language barrier. They couldn't understand, no matter how yell you shout. They're not going to understand you. But so they're if they detected any disease and it's not curable, they're going to get shipped back to China. Okay. And then if you don't have any disease, you're going to be questioned by the board. And I wouldn't be able to answer how many trees in the yard. Okay, so that's how detailed the questions are. They're asking you how many chairs, furnitures you have in the house, how many trees you have outside. And because she had studied the booklet, she answered them flawlessly. But her her answer didn't match up with her sister's. And it was like 8 hours of questioning. Okay. Too much inconsistencies with May answer. I was baffled and furious. Like, I just want to get out of here, because after they reach San Francisco, they can't just be released off onto, American soil. They're like in this prison on Angel Island. Was it Angel Island? Angel Ellis Island. So, we're back to being locked up because May can't answer any of these questions correctly. And so when I finally got to see her, I was like, why do you lie? Okay. Do you want us to be shipped back to China? Do you want us to, be in a war infested zone? Do you want us to, and after moments of, interrogating her, she finally said under her breath, I'm, I'm pregnant. Okay. So after the breaking news, like, she waited for the prison room to clear, because we're not in a room by ourselves. We're in a room with a whole bunch of other Chinese women, and they're like, bunk beds and stuff like that. I guess they had gone off to eat like lunch or dinner. Like, when they hear the lunch bell, the woman, they all cleared the room, and she finally stripped herself and showed me her belly. She is pretty far along. Like, probably, like, let me see how long. Like, probably 4 to 5 months. And this explains so much. This explains why she was dressing the way she did. Like, she's been wearing like loose clothing instead of our beautiful dresses, like American dresses. Um, And I just like went down a list mentally of who the father could be. May said, I don't know him. And I probably don't. She's once again very popular. Mm. It legit could be anyone. And when, but she definitely was pregnant before the wedding. And, now it's all starting to click up to me. She was throwing up and people were treating her differently. I didn't notice it before, but people were taking extra care of her. Other women were taking extra care of her. And the lack, and the fact that, the red sister, aka her period, didn't come. I didn't even realize that. And May had thought everything through though. Right? She planned to fail the interview and give birth on Angel Island. Okay, so the prison that they're at is on Angel Island. And then after birth, she's gonna give her son to me. How convenient. Because I was intimate with Sam and I could never have a child of my own. Um, in response, I told her maybe we can give the child away, and she was like, no. She was like, this child is the last that we have of mom to remind us of home, of mom and dad. This is my child. I'm not going to give it away. So her plan requires us to stall for another 4 months. And while I was there for this, that time period until she gave birth, I found out about Paper Sons. And Paper Sun is basically selling like American citizenship to to Chinese men. So what happened is these American men claims that they have a son in China, and this is a way for Chinese men to enter America legally. But no one wants American daughter. I mean, no one wants a paper daughter. Paper daughter isn't a thing, but paper wife is a thing. For women to go that route into America, they would have to marry a paper son. So paper daughter and paper son and paper wives. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Crazy idea, but it's a loophole. This is why screening is so hard because they're trying to filter out these fake paper sons. So while they're on Angel Island, May and Per get question interview like every week, and they failed purposely. And they were there so long that they see their cellmates come and go. Like they come and go so fast that I wasn't able to build like a strong friendship with them. But I've learned a lot from them about being pregnant and whatnot. Mom didn't teach us any of this. And one night I woke up and I didn't see May. And I went to the bathroom and I found her on the floor. And she said, your son is coming. We got the baby and May was holding the baby in her arm. It was a baby girl, okay? It was a daughter. It wasn't a son. But I'm not upset with that. And then I rushed to our bunk beds to get the material to clean up the place, and to grab a scissor, to cut the umbilical cord and towels and all that. And the next morning, like all the women gather around my bed, thinking I had given birth. And we decided to name her Joy, as in, this is a new country. We're in a new country, and we're hoping for, better stuff to come. And we were leaving all the sadness of the war behind. So, baby Joy, my daughter, after I gave birth to baby Joy, we both studied and passed the interview easily. Okay. And all those time, those mofos thought that, I didn't know English and was talking crap about us. No, I went into that interview speaking English. Okay. So I was like, yeah. Yeah, I knew English the whole entire time. I didn't say that, but. And then, so that is it. The end of part one. We're finally in America. So for part two, please like and subscribe so you can stay updated to see what life will be like for both of the sisters in America with their husbands. Thank you.